Hello again. Welcome back to the library, but you guys stay off. Off. I love you. I have so many ramblings about this book. I have made us a handy dandy little family tree because I don't actually expect you to remember all the things that I'm about to yap about. So anyway, you guys stay off. Thank you. Okay, so the first thing is that some of the names in this book are wild, and I've certainly read other books before where like the names are just like a little bit on the nose, and maybe I'm reading way too much into this. Reading too much into this. But so the dad, Ephraim Vestret, he's just gonna be in this video with me. Ephraim Vestret, effervescent. He's dead. He's a ghost. Effervescent. Maybe that was just me. I don't know. But I think that's a pretty on the nose. Anyway, who else? I'll get to Kyle last because then their daughter, Kefria, which maybe I should come back to this one, but the first time, and maybe it's just because I'm listening to this book, so I'm like hearing the names a lot in my actual ears, but it sounds, when the narrator says it, it sounds like she's saying carefree, which I will get to that. And it all has to do with Kyle. The whole book is about Kyle, in my humble opinion. Anyway, Brashen. He's a little rough around the edges. A little brash, one might say. The other ones are a bit of a stretch, so I won't go that far. Anyway, we'll get to Kyle last. But, so we have the adults, the big guys, the matriarch and patriarch. We have Ephraim and Ronica. Generally good people, right? That's another thing. I made an outline for us down here so I can remember all of my thoughts. But, the complexity of the characters, even though I really hate Kyle, he's still like generally a good husband. So it's like I don't hate him wholly because he does good things for his wife. He does really bad things for his wife too. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Anywho's, Althea, probably our main girl, she's a little bit of an idiot too. So it's like, I'm rooting for her, but I'm also not a little bit. Like, I just want her to get it together a little bit. She is listed as an imperfect feminist icon though, so we'll get to that. Then we have Kefria and fucking Kyle's children, Wintro and Malta. And I feel so bad for these kids. That's just a reminder of who all is who. Anyway, okay, so I need to get my handy dandy little magic marker back so we can just draw a line to everybody who Kyle is ruining their life. So we have Kyle to Kefria. He's ruining her life. This is my main rant. Kefria is trying to calmly and rationally explain to her husband the ways of the world as a woman in their world. And he is just, you're hysterical, you are inconsolable, you're not making any sense. It does not make any sense what he is doing. So it goes into this next one. He's ruining his own daughter's life. Okay, it's coming out season, right? It's the season of the balls, and she wants to wear an adult style dress and have her hair done and the jewelry and everything done like an adult. And her mother realizes that at 11 years old, 11, she's too young because of the social implications, because all of the men at these balls are going to think that her family is presenting her for marriage, right? Because we all know from Bridgerton that that is what those balls are for. So her mom is trying to save her because she's an 11-year-old child. And her mom knows that she's not gonna know how to dance, which she can learn how to do, but she's also not gonna know how to reject unwanted advances from like 60-year-old guys. Anyway, so he's ruining his own daughter's life because he is basically presenting her for marriage too early, even though he thinks that it's just going to be no big deal, that they're not actually going to present her for marriage, but her mother understands how critical this is going to be for her. He's ruining his own son's life, okay? Admittedly, I don't remember exactly how it all happened in the very beginning of the book, that their son got sent to the priesthood. I think it was like something like they prayed and Sar helped them, and so they were like, here, have our firstborn, basically. But Wintro is a cool cat. He like goes to the priesthood, is like basically completely abandoned by his family, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna make the best of this. And he like devotes himself as like a small boy. He like devotes himself and does the best that he can with what he's given, right? And he just goes with it, and he's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna be devoted. And yeah, makes a life for himself and like proves himself as a good priest in training. I don't know what to call him. But I remember it specifically saying that like the priests would send just a few letters back to the family to like let them know how they're doing, and like they spoke so highly of him. And you know, he comes back because his stupid ass parents called the priesthood and was like, hey, grandpa's dying, send the kid back. So he comes back thinking that he's just going to be there for a couple weeks. And then his dad, who sent him to the priesthood to begin with, is like, hey, by the way, now that we have a live ship, it's your turn because my stupid ass sister-in-law isn't going to do it. Okay? So he's ruining his own son's life too. Next line, Kyle to Ronica. Okay? He's dead, so Kyle can't really ruin his life. But Ronica, the matriarch of the family, her life is ruined now. These two, before Ephraim died, I feel like that meme of that one guy that's like chain smoking a cigarette and like pointing up to the board with like the strings between the pictures, like trying to figure out who the serial killer is. Anyway, Ephraim's dead, so we can't really ruin his life. But Ronica, these two, basically, they're trying to like figure out like, okay, who are we actually going to give the ship to? Do we give it to our oldest, Kefria, and which basically is just giving it to Kyle, or do we give it to Althea, who has been on the ship for years, even though she's a girl and she's not really supposed to be, but she's like been pretty helpful. She's a seamstress and has been like helping, you know, repair all the things and like do all the things. And there are like examples in the book, which I really loved that Robin Hobb does this. This is such a Brandon Sanderson thing to do, but she shows multiple examples of like Althea actually being helpful on the ship. She doesn't just say, which of course show don't tell, but she like actually shows examples of how Althea is really good on the ship. But there are moments where Althea is doubting herself and she's like, okay, wait, I can look back and see that I didn't work a full 16-hour day of hoisting the sails and I don't know, whatever you do on a boat. And she's like, when I got tired of it, I could go mend the sails or whatever. And she got to do easier work. So she like has this moment of like, yeah, I'm just a girl, I guess. I don't know. Like she comes to realize that yes, maybe her father was helping her out a little bit and like was keeping her around on the ship, not because she was the most helpful, but because she was helpful enough to keep around. Anyway, so poor Ronica gives the ship to Kefria, but really to Kyle, and realizes the error in her ways, because as soon as she does it, Kyle just like shows his true colors, and he like kicks Althea out and is like, you're just gonna go get married and shut the fuck up, basically. So Ronica realizes the error in their ways as a couple by giving the ship to Kyle, because as we all know, Kyle's the worst. I'm really sorry if you have a friend named Kyle or something. I have my own Kyle, and for about the last year and a half, the words fuck Kyle have come out of my mouth many times, so this just feels like the most wonderful vindication. Anyway, who else? Oh yeah, literally the only other person that we could be ruining. Kyle is ruining Althea's life. As mentioned, he has shoved her off the ship. Oh, you know what? We'll just add Brash into that one too, because basically neither of them want to work on the Vivacia anymore because Kyle sucks. And nepotism, I guess nepotism is like all of this because they're all a family, but Kyle makes Wintrow work on the ship even though he doesn't want to, and basically kicks off both Brash and, well, I think Brashen's more like a basically I just don't want to work for Kyle without having Ephraim there. Kyle was on the ship with Ephraim, but that was weird. I just really lost my train of thought. Now Kyle's in charge, so nobody wants to work with him. So literally every single person in the family, Kyle has ruined their lives, and he fucking sucks. That's what I was ranting about in the car. Let's see what else. Also, adding to names that are a little on the nose. Vivacia. Vivir. I don't know. Wait, haven't you studied Latin? Okay, so Latin-based languages. In Spanish, to live is vivir. Yeah, a little bit on the nose. Let's see, what else did I have on my very hastily scrolled outline in my sewing sketchbook here. Hi, baby. Kyle sucks. Yup, his wife he has ruined. Oh yeah, Vivacia, Effervescent, and Carefree. Oh yeah, adding to my general feminist rant about Kyle and his wife. So she like understands the intricacies of society much more than he does, and she's trying to warn him that they're basically sending their baby girl out for slaughter. And he paints her as having no responsibilities and no thought and no sense of the world. And the irony there is that she is the one who is much more so has a better grasp on what is happening in their world. And I don't know, it just, I guess her name, truly the first couple times that I heard it, not having looked up to see how her name was spelled, it really sounded like Carefree. And I do just think it's very, I don't know, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but the way that Kyle paints her is like she has nothing to worry about. But her inner monologue is the same as every other woman's, basically, that I've ever heard. And particularly in the way that a woman interacts with people around them in the world. And I forgot I made hot chocolate. I don't know, I guess I don't think that was an accident. I really love this book. I really love books that usually I'm like, oh, this book ripped my heart out and tore me into pieces. I loved it, you should read it. I do really love it, and I do really love her writing. I love that it's not overly flourishy. I love that it's not overly doesn't use a lot of analogies and metaphor in such a way that it's like awkward and a stretch and overly artistic, I guess. But yeah, I really like these characters, and I like this family dynamic because it's messy as fuck. And even though it feels somewhat fantastical, really it doesn't feel all that fantastical yet, admittedly. Other than like the serpents have a bit of an inner monologue, they haven't super come into play yet. And some of the ships have talked. I am so excited for the Mad ship because I'm assuming that it's referring to, what was its name? Paragon? Something? I'm curious, and I'm curious to see how they are painted and what their inner monologue is like. Again, I guess just working in my own field of mental health, like I'm curious to see how their character is portrayed. And oh, that's another thing too. I love that the Vivacia, she's only been alive for like a couple of weeks at this point, and she has some immaturity to her. Even though she's been with the Vestrit family for, my dog just catapulted himself over the couch, and I think it's so funny every time he does it. She's been with the Vestrit family for 3 generations. And you can see, morsels of Ephraim in her, but she also is like relatively immature. Like she needs Althea, she needs Wintrow to sleep on the deck with her. I don't know, I think it's just very interestingly portrayed as like a young, previously inanimate object that has now come to life. Hi. Do you want to say hi to our friend Mize? You say hi. I don't know, I just really like her personality, and I'm very curious to see if it changes as, I'm hoping, come on. I'm hoping that Althea comes back to the ship, and that they mature and grow together. Like, that's what I'm really hoping for, is that, like, this sisterhood of, the ship and its shipmaster, captain, there we go. I'm hoping that they mature together. And I think that that would be a really fun story. I really hope that Brashen makes his way back to the ship too. I'm also kind of curious to see if they hook up, get together. I don't know. There's just been inklings of it, but then he's also kind of a hard ass, which kind of like. Anyway, yeah, he's very imperfect also. So, I mean, that seems about right. If you know anybody who's lived a hard life, like that tracks. I think that's most of my ramblings for the book so far. What's wild is that I don't actually think I'm even halfway through it. That book is very dense. It's like 32 hours or something, which is wild. Let's see. What else am I reading? Oh! I'm trying to decide if I should give you all my notes on the Living Tower at the end. I'll wait until the end so I can send it to you. But I love it. I love it so much. And I'm very honored that I get to read it. And I'm very excited to read whatever you have for me. I have seriously read well-published and well-reviewed books that are not written as well as that book. Yeah, I'm really loving it. I'll leave it at that for right now, but I really love it. What else am I reading? I'm still working on number 2 of Crescent City, House of Blue. It's the blue one. I don't know. Anyway, it's getting better, and I'm trying not to DNF it, but I'm so close to DNFing it. This whole book Like, the first 600 pages of this book are looking for one kid. And then with basically no plot explanation, he just shows up. And I was so angry that all of that, like, none of it came to fruition. And I just was like, you've got to be kidding me. It was so unsatisfying. It was just like, looking, okay, not happening. Oh, he's here for no work, nothing that happened, and then one paragraph of explanation about him just showing up. Anyway, they're not my favorite. What else am I reading? Oh, my Kindle book. This probably tracks for me, okay, but it's a motorcycle club, dark romance, and I actually don't really like the female main character. She's really annoying, and I think she's like pretty like, I don't know, toxic, I'll say. So I don't really like her, but I love the male main character. Oh, okay, this is actually related to you. He says aces when he's like excited about something. Basically, when she'll be like, oh, Dean, I want to kiss you, and he'll be like, aces. And every time I just want to cross it out and put stars, because it just reminds me of you, to have that like very specific to you phrase. And I just love that phrase, word, exclamation. What else am I reading? I think that's actually it right now. Anyway, that's all I got for you this time. Hope everything's amazing. So glad that you didn't have any damage from the hurricanes. Oh, come on, Oliver. I'm sure you can fit up here too, babe. Oh, you're so jealous. It's a jealous boy. Yeah, I think that's all I got for now. Okay, are you gonna be done? Okay, goodbye. Thanks for listening to more of my rambles. Yes, I did immediately get home and immediately start this. Good night.